first right that Ugandans have, they don't have the right to good health because it is in shambles. They don't have the right to good infrastructure. They don't have the right to good education. The only right that Ugandans are remaining with, the only right, is making a decision through democracy. And once that window is closed, you say we are extremists. We have not declared war anywhere. I would be here blazing, stating that we should go to war. I have not declared war.
Mr. Mufumbiro, could you respond to the question of why were the stakes so high in Kawempe North?
The stakes were so high in Kawempe North because the master with the gun does not have the support of the people. The master of the gun. You see, it is like a rich man having a very beautiful woman, but who is going out with a maid, with his shamba boy around. And she's very happy without anything. She is moving around. She's in love with the shamba boy. And
she's protesting.
And the rich man, with all his money, cannot break that relationship.
Salam, so by saying you should create a different...
Yes. No, I said even no, maids are maids. I don't want to say that they're not.
Pick it up. Why were the stakes so high in Kawempe North?
Why were they so high? It's because of these inflated egos. The military ego. Who are they? Know her. You know? It is conquest. It's a psychological thing. It's conquest. We will show them. It's the mindset of a psychopath. And as O.O. happily said today, is that if you have this majority, why fight over one? Not even mid-term, one by-election, which has only 6 months to go. Why would you deploy all this terror? So we are dealing with psychopaths. And there's also another mix of an inferiority complex. You know, and inferiority complexes reflect themselves in many ways, in tweets, in bragado talk. It's an inferiority complex. It goes back to the backstage of your psyche.
Who is inferior to who now?
Work it out. It's only guys that do these things that suffer from this inferiority complex. Because if I'm big enough, I don't have to beat a child to death.
But is there somebody with the braggadocio than Salam Musumba?
Salam Musumba doesn't suffer from an inferiority complex. Doesn't suffer from an inferiority. She just brags about herself, but she doesn't have an inferiority complex, which tells her to walk all over everybody.
Be having a megalomania.
That I'm guilty of, yes. And but also lack of strategy. Or you used to be such a thorough strategist. But I'm sure they have found equivalents who don't measure mid-term, long-term, and who don't do scenario building. What this, what that. So you have a weakness in the political class. And I think it's the NRM secretariat that is useless in this picture. Because if the NRM leadership had the political map and the political strategy in their hands, they would advise the military not to give them a bad name. They would advise other arms of government not to spoil it for them, you know, to work in a subtle way. But because they have lost the plot, they are shabby. Maybe they are not even in control. So what are the stakes? The stakes was really to stamp their foot on Kampala, to stamp their foot on Uganda. We are here. Let's see what you do. Because how do you roll out military where? Going where? Descending on the people.
With numbers,
I mean, how on earth do you do this today? And what do you gain? So, those were the stakes, as stupid as they sound. They were. Because If it isn't stupidity, what do you call this?
I want to put the same question to Ofono Pondo, but let me take a message from Harry Sagar, who says, Honorable Bariomonsi, the right thing to do now, he says, yeah, I'll read the message as it is. What Minister Bariomonsi is doing right now is called Okwekaza, defending the indefensible. Instead of justifying the brutal actions against journalists in broad daylight, I urge him to swallow his pride and apologize on behalf of the government. As the Minister of National Guidance, it's also his responsibility to guide the security personnel. He now has the opportunity here to do better, both for the safety of the press and the people of Uganda. Please, let him look into the camera and show leadership with an apology. Harry Sagara. I see, I'm coming to you in just 1 second. Let me take another message. Yes, Topisa Kiza just saying she's watching from Namungona and says, ask Honorable Chris, why is the government not responding to the post of General Mohozi on X? He has made threatening statements too. That's Topista. Another viewer here, yes, Benjamin in Kampala says, the minister argues that there was trespass in the event of yesterday. If indeed there was nothing abnormal, why were they plucking number plates off the vehicles parked in there? Well, I don't think it's a crime to remove a number. Is it a crime to remove a number plate?
It is.
It is.
It is.
Eh?
No. It is.
What if I have a mechanic who is repairing my vehicle?
No,
from my
no.
Yes.
No, please.
Is a
Guide.
of government. You
Okay.
don't own it that it is yours because you have procured it.
No, but in my private home.
Yes.
What if a vehicle has a problem?
It was not a
No,
private.
I have
no,
invited
sir.
a
It
mechanic.
was a secured place.
Don't
without a
expose
bribery.
yourself.
That place has been.
No.
Guide.
I need
You
to-
are
It was
the
a criminal
minister in
trespass.
That
charge
house
of
was a
guiding.
criminal-
Please.
You have no right to come and invade me in
Come
my
on.
home.
That place.
And you claim you are.
That place-
No.
It was
no
a
right.
criminal
We'll check-
place
No.
secured
We'll check.
by NRM.
We'll check what happens.
No.
And Chris, these goons are in town. They have been celebrating.
I think
today.
removing
the
a
goons
number
you
plate
used
privately
yesterday, they have been at the Winton
is an
celebrating
offense.
this evening.
To remove a number plate is an offense. Just like an electricity pole doesn't belong to you even if you pay for it. It doesn't belong to you. The number plate belongs to the government. I think it doesn't belong
You
to
can't
what?
even drive a vehicle in town
Under
when
which
you
law?
remove the number plate.
The Traffic and Road Safety Act should have a provision on number plate, but we'll interrogate that.
I'm not
We are
sure.
even
Herbert,
moving to digital number plates, and
yes.
you say that
Herbert,
it's not an
you-
offense.
you-
to
you-
put
the
number
regulations
plates.
under the digital number plates, you can't remove it. You can't tamper with
when
it.
you're going to
This
to
very
garage,
step-
you put garage numbers.
The very statement that was, even government
remove
has
the-
numbers,
you
it
remove
uses.
Herbert,
You do.
Herbert
Yesterday,
Mugisa is
that was
watching us and
resolved by the Minister
says,
of Internal Affairs.
what happened in Kawempe North today is indeed a shame. And he says, I am happy OO is slowly reading the original people's script, finally.
Yes.
Oh, he's a bright man.
Because he's dressed in blue.
Saul Mugasa,
I will.
Saul Mugasa, thank you for watching the show. Ivan Okuda says, thanks for the show. The stakes and cost of political competition continue to increase with every election cycle in Uganda. We now have an entire generation of Ugandans that have been schooled
Is that the Okuda who rings people?
by the 1986 class that politics is a game of might of guns over ideas, might of violence over persuasion, might of terror over building consensus. In the end, we are sowing seeds of more cycles of violence that will take several generations to break. We need a new consensus as a nation, but who will bail the cat?
Well,
Why were the stakes so high in Kawempe North?
there has never been any by-election where the stakes are not high. Look at the last 3 by-elections we had in Serere. Similar things played out. Look at Dokolo. Dokolo was a little tampered. Look at Oyam. We had similar things.
Soroti City.
Look at Kisoro, where NRM is very dominant. You remember that 2 MPs went into hiding, NRM MPs. Internal contestation turned violent, bribery, and so on. So, partly there is increasingly bad manners in the NRM, really. Loss of direction, sense of entitlement, which I have said many times, I've written, if we don't, as NRM, decisively deal with, for the time being, NRM, the people of Uganda, majority of them are willing to give the NRM the benefit of the doubt, especially because of historical relevance, the success that the leadership of President Yoweri Museveni has brought to the country. Don't mind what Mufumbro says, that roads are in shambles. He says 30 years, 38 years. He was born in this government. He speaks good English. He's a professional. A bad education.
He never studied from outside Uganda.
A bad education doesn't give you that good, that English
For me,
and
I'm
intellect.
an aborted product.
Yes, I'm not saying about education was bad. I'm saying NRM has improved that about education, first of all, by making it accessible. Yes, by making it accessible. So, what are the stakes? I think partly impunity by the NRM group, but also by the opposition. If you listen to Mufumbiro and Honorable Salam, you clearly see people of unbridled arrogance.
Is that impunity?
I'm saying impunity and arrogance, unbridled. So, since 2017, when we amended the Constitution, remember this is where things actually started spiraling out of control. After the Salam Musumbazi lost the amendment on age limit.
2004.
No, I'm saying 2017 particularly.
Okay.
The age limit thing. There are groups, particularly in Buganda, that made Buganda constituencies, Buganda villages, social functions, no-go area to NRM MPs, NRM politicians who had supported that amendment. And because of some consideration, the state allowed them. That climaxed in 2020-2021, when these groups tried to make Buganda a no-go area. And if you look at the posture of NOP, that's what they have been driving at, to make sure that the next election, especially here where they think they have a majority, they are trying to do so. And therefore, Kawempe, they were using it as a test ground. I think the state machinery, particularly intelligence, sexed up the intelligence.
Can you use another word?
That's a better word for you and me. You know it.
Come on.
Sexing up. So, I think they fabricated, but they also put salt in that intelligence, overstating the intelligence about what NUP and other mischievous groups were planning. I think this is what, and I think this informed the deployment we saw throughout this campaign and the confrontation. Thirdly, I'm talking about the stakes.
Yes.
We have made elections and entering parliament a place for earning. So many people spend a lot of resources. Because you ask, why would 10 or 12 people run for one seat for 7 months? And each of them is spending and saying they want to go there, earning for 7 months. Why? Because somebody saw that if I enter, the likelihood of coming back in 2026 January election probably is high. Fourthly, I think from our side, there are people who sold a false story that they can turn the tide in favor of NRM. And therefore, we are willing to go out of their way to turn that tide. Oblivious of the democratic credentials NRM is supposed to show. And so they ended up where we have ended. But in my view, all is not lost. We make mistakes, we learn. We make mistakes, we learn. It is only people who do nothing, who don't make mistakes. I think, and Honorable Bariomus and I don't think we have defended And for you have localized it assault on the journalists. No, nobody should be assaulted when we are doing a democratic process like elections. We shouldn't usurp the authority of the Electoral Commission. We shouldn't. But for you have localized it on the journalists. How about the beating or the roughing up of Narukola? A candidate.
Or on nomination day.
On nomination day. He had even done nothing. Why was he roughed up?
They commanded him not to use his vehicle.
Two. How about today, even after polling, people vandalizing polling station and scattering polling materials, voting papers, ballots that have been already counted? Why would that happen? So for me, I don't just want to. Yes, the assault and injury caused on the journalists, yes, is frightening. But I think nobody should be assaulted for elections.
Thank you.
On elections. So the stakes are heightened are raised because of different considerations. Some people could have eaten money of candidates and wanted to show that we can give you victory. Yes, it is possible.
But you also know that overstated intelligence is to get out operational funds.
Yes, overstated intelligence.
To complete their estates.
Because ask yourself, and I don't agree with the Mufumbro, even if you suspected that premise, somebody was committing an offense there, you report to the police, you stay on watch, you don't go and invade somebody's property. Supposing Senyonyi had been beaten by the owner or by the askaris, the askaris but that owner could be armed with the panga, could be armed with the gun, and Senyonyi has no right to enter anybody's premise by himself. In fact, he was like, if it had been me, he wouldn't have left there alive. Mufumbiro, if you tried to come to my home because you are a candidate, because you are leader of opposition, I can dare you. You may not live there alive. So I think we need to respect. You don't live above the law simply because you are the leader of opposition in parliament. Okay. You don't live above the law because you're a journalist.
Hold it, Mr. Mfombero. We're supposed to take a break. I'll give you opportunity to respond, but I'll take a message from Ivan Namanya, who says the growing trend of labeling the media as enemies of security is alarming, especially
of course there's embedded
in the country. He says journalists are not adversaries, but partners in ensuring transparency, accountability, and development. Attempts to silence the press only serves to undermine democracy and the public rights to information. Let it be known that no intimidation will erase the truth. One day, those who abuse their power will have to answer for their actions. I also take a message from, let me see, there's so many messages. I can't take too many. Tom Mugara says it's balanced debate for both government and opposition, and the voters to learn. We shall build on this to have better elections in 2026. And says Jambo to Salam Musumba. This is Tom Mugara.
Thank you.
Watching us. There's a message I wanted to pick from Andrew Irumba somewhere. Mugume Crotch. Police and the army should be taken to court for the brutality against Ugandans and journalists. Apologizing to the media is not enough. It's just an election, not a war. Hara, I took your message. Let me pick one message before I take a break. Yes. Security maiming and beating up journalists, then sending them to Chankwans to refresher courses and professional training is equivalent to a bat that clings onto a crossbar in the ceiling of a man's home. And while the bat is upside down, looking at the owners of the house below it, the bat accuses the people in the house of walking upside down. Yet actually, it's the bat that's upside down. Security must desist from acts that actually charge people. One day, when everyone is tired, those guns might become their walking sticks. Andrew Irumba, President in Ndoja, Uganda. Let's take a break. We'll pick this conversation up in a moment.